Last time we talked about Goro and Mount Dore, Mount Kogus, and Dambeya. And today I would like to ask you a question about the Point Dimier, Yate, and Mount Humboldt, Mr. Shenmi.
Okay.
So all
what
the
GT localities are we missing? Or is that the only 6? I can't even think.
We talked about all 7, I think. We're going to talk about all 7 now.
Because today we're talking about.
So today I would like to talk about the first, the Point Dimier. Do you think you could talk about the characteristics of this locale?
So Point Dimier is a long, lean locality. Pretty massive, obviously, one of the largest. Not as heavy-bodied as Yate. Long nose, long body, long tail, to be compared with other GT localities.
Yes, sir.
Mostly all black, other than the green form, which is obviously all green. Usually patternless, although there is a very good chance there are some with pattern in Point Dimier.
But is it like not visible patterns, right, Mr.
Not
Chen?
giant bars, but I think they may some lines may have bars as babies, and as they get older, and then it vanishes. So they're like vanishing bars, similar to the Humboldt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any stories behind about when they or someone or Frank Fest?
Frank didn't collect them. Most of them were collected by the original people to go.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they were sent out to zoos in the area here, and to some private collectors. The green Point Dimiers Frank got from a collector, I think. I'm not exactly sure what country he's from, but it was documented. The green Point Dimiers were documented as a specific line, a specific time they came in, and they're obviously very different looking.
Okay.
So it's not just from the same line as the dark ones, it's a completely different line.
I see. But they collected...
You don't get, from the same pair, you don't get some greens and some blacks. However, I did make a pair that was a black to green, and in that pair you do sometimes get some that are darker and some that are lighter, but I don't want to say it's not quite the same as the solid blacks being bred to blacks or greens being bred to greens.
I see.
They're both from the Point Dimier area, of course, but it's 2 different lines bred together, rather than... It's kind of like if you were to breed Troger Kogus to Site Kogus, or Troger Kogus to, Dambeya. They're both from Kogus area, but they're different lines. They must occur in different pockets of forest in those regions. They're not in the same primary forest or in the same small pockets of forest.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes,
so
sir.
It's not like you can go to one area in any of these locations and find both forms.
Yes, sir.
You'd have to go, again, we talked about those little pockets of forest that are surrounding streams usually. You'd have to go to a separate pocket that's isolated because they're completely different looking. Although the green to blacks produced some of the most massive Point Dimiers to date. There's been a couple that were really huge.
I do remember that once when I went there one time and I saw the huge green Point Dimier female.
That's a green pure.
Yeah, exactly.
That evil one that tries to kill all the females. Yeah, she's a pure green. I had sold a green to black to a few people, and one of them sent back pictures and weights on it. It was huge. Much bigger than the blacks or the greens.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
So it's kind of interesting.
Oh, okay. And the one more question that I want to ask about the Point Dimier is, are they tough to breed?
Yeah, I was just going to say, definitely not the easiest to pair.
Yes, sir.
They're rough on their mates, and they're also more aggressive to keepers.
I see. That's so weird.
So even though people want them because they're black and big, they are not the same puppy dogs as some of the other Leachies. Sometimes they can be, but then, all of a sudden they can. Those are some of the ones that, for some reason, bite even when not provoked. They just decide to turn around and bite. So it's kind of like a Trachyrhynchus. The Trachyrhynchus will just walk on your arm and turn their head and wham, just bite you. I would say some of those types of GTs can be. I'm sure you've seen that old video of Diablo just going crazy.
Oh yeah.
They're not quite as handleable or docile as some of the other forms.
Yes, sir. I do.
Some of them, not all, but some of them. They're typically not mellow, sit in your hand, not struggle a little type.
Yes, sir. I do remember that old video. I thought it was very cool at the end, like when you know, just holding on to Diablo and just, looking at him and, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yep.
And next one is Yate, Mr. Champagne.
Yate. Okay, so the majority of the Yate animals were originally collected by Frank Fast, and he had, I believe, 2 original pairs, which a lot of the pure Yates come from. Later down the road, he did acquire some other animals from that same place the green Point Demiers came from. So it was another line, a field collected male and a golden yellow female. And then the Bubba line, that came from another source. Those were not original Frank Fast lines. Those were a friend of his that also went there and collected at one point.
I see. Maybe do you think you can tell us about the characteristic about this? Okay.
Sure. So the Yates are also long and lean. In the wild, I believe they are very similar to Point Demier. But they have the potential to get a lot more bulk, a little bit more loose skin, a little bit more bulky bodies, the bulkier heads.
Yes, sir.
So they can put on a lot more weight. I haven't seen any as long. I think to date the longest would be compared Point Demier to Yate would be Point Demier lengthwise and Yate bulkwise. Humboldt's kind of in between. It's got bulk and length.
I see. When Koreans this is all the questions always that I get, Mr. Chemini.
Okay.
They always looking for the golden Yate, Mr. Chemini.
Yeah. So Yates range from dark brown, almost blackish, but not black, to yellow. So one animal can fire yellow and tone down brown or greenish brown. So I don't know if I would really say there is a true golden yellow line.
Yes, sir.
I've seen animals that were, so I had an animal, Medusa. She was really a really nasty female that I got from Philippe years ago. I don't have her anymore, but she was always olive green. And when I paired her, the night I paired her, I sprayed the enclosure and I went in and looked and she was golden yellow. She fired golden yellow from the humidity, from being with a mate. I don't know what the reason was, but I don't really believe that there is a golden yellow Yate line.
Yes, sir.
I think that some have a tendency to stay, lie down. Some have a tendency to stay more golden yellow, for sure. When they're young, if they're kept on paper towels, they stay golden yellow almost all the time. And then when you put them in a cage with dark bedding and dark branches and cork bark and all that, sometimes they will darken up.
I see.
I don't think that it's that there is and that's why I said with that pair that I had, it was a field collected male who was olive green and a female that stayed more golden yellow. Again, I wouldn't really call that the golden line.
Okay.
Per se. I think all true Yate can fire gold. Depending on temperatures and backgrounds. Sometimes the gold coloration is seen, again, with a young animal on white stuff, kept on paper towels or kept on a light bedding. I think that they for sure will. I'll take animals as I'm growing them and say, wow, look at this one, it's so golden yellow, and I'll move it into another enclosure and it will darken up. It won't go black, but it will darken to that olive green. So I think it's kind of like a red-crested gecko. So red-crested geckos tan most of the time. And when it fires up and you find it fired at night, it'll be red. It's something similar to that, not the golden line. Okay. Yate, if that makes sense. And Yate should not have prominent blotches as adults. Any Yates with big bars, they're not Yates. Yep, they're patternless. Again, they will start with blotches when they're young, vanishing as they get older, and as adults, they should be patternless. As far as we know, there's none in Yate with pattern. For sure, the lines that they came from, the lines from Frank Fast and the ones that Frank Fast acquired, none of those had pattern as adults. And those are known true Yates.
And as we all know, that Bubba is really famous. Right? And do you think maybe you could tell us about the history of the Bubba? Like, how did you get them?
Well, again, Bubba came from Frank. Was one of the. It was not from his original pairs. It was from the same place that I got the golden and the field collected golden pair. I also got two offspring, and those were the Bubba and Bubba's little brother. Both of those are paired to Frank Fast F1 Leachies. So the pairings that come from those are Frank Fast line crossed to Bubba and Frank Fast line crossed to Bubba's little brother.
Okay. So you basically raised the gecko from the...
Yeah, those I got as babies. Yeah. Yep, I got those as babies. Yep, and I was like, this was early times when I first got into Leachies.
Yes, sir.
And you couldn't tell what they were. So you just had to take the person's word for it. And obviously I got them from Frank, so I believed it. And as they grew, I'm like, look at that. There you go. Looks just like a yate. It didn't look like a yate when it was little. It looked like, just a little baby, nothing.
Yes, sir.
So.
Do you know how old is Bubba, Mr. Shamli?
I want to say I got him in 05 or 04. So he's 20.
Wow.
I'd say that's a good guess, right around 20.
Yeah, okay, that's crazy. All right.
Yeah.
And the next one is
He's the first one to the food dish.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I feed everybody hides, and he's always sitting at the dish.
Okay.
So that's kind of why he had more of a outgoing personality. I guess that's kind of why we started bringing him around. And then, of course, he got really bulky and really giant. So.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Did you have any trouble with breeding yates? Unlike Point DBA?
Oh, yeah. They can sometimes be... Some pairs get along great, and some pairs don't. Philippe had said it best years ago, you never really know why pairs break up, right? Maybe he didn't take out the garbage. Maybe she didn't do the dishes, there's really no reason. They can get along for years, and then they don't get along. Or some pairs just never get along. That's pretty common that you put two together and they just don't get along. I have a pair of F1 Frank Fast yates that, boy, every time I put them together, she beats them up. So I've tried swapping. At times I've swapped pairs, not necessarily with yate, and then they get along. So it's just the personality. And I had one female that was really nasty with all the males, and I put a small male with him, and then they were fine.
Wow.
So it didn't really make any sense. She could have killed him, and they just hung out in the tube together. So it's not really a matter of anything other than compatibility.
Yes.
Size and closure doesn't really seem to matter. If they get along, they hang out in the same tube. If they don't get along, they fight in a big cage or a small cage. It doesn't really make a difference. What the reasoning is, we don't really know.
Not gonna know, right?
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay. And the next locale would be Mount Humboldt.
Mount Humboldt. So those again also came from Frank from that other breeder through Frank, or that other collector through Frank in the early years. I can't remember the exact years now, or the exact year right now. But again, massive, bulky form. What can I say about them? They don't fire as dark olive green. Females have blotches or vanishing blotches. Mm-hmm. Some adult females will hold the blotches, where usually the males have little to no blotches, or maybe on the sides, the vanishing bars down the sides. Oh, okay. But definitely have pattern when they're small. So there have been people that are like, this isn't pure. It's not a pure Humboldt. It's got pattern. Just be patient. It'll lose the pattern as it grows. But females will sometimes have pattern. So that's another thing. If you see a female at a year old, you might think it's not a real, that it's got something in it because there's a lot of pattern on it. There was a breeder who swore it wasn't real, and it eventually developed into a large animal with less pattern. Okay. And it was a female, so of course the females appear more patterned. But again, very consistent line, just like the Yates Point de Maze, old green Point de Maze, very consistent line. You don't see a lot of variation. It's not like some of them have body styles that are different, or some that are the same. They're all very consistent. Very bulky, long, thick tail, big bulky head, big long body, yes, long. Very similar to what Philippe, of course, categorized as type A.
Yeah.
But they do have a little bit of pattern. So then, that wouldn't take them, if we were to use the types, then it would take them out of type A, because type A was supposed to be patternless. Mm-hmm. So that's why, Frank and I always kind of went with localities, not type.
Okay.
So.
And
yeah, some of the Humboldts have grown to. God, I had one male who was like 480 something grams. Huh? He was really big. Yeah, 476, I think. Yep.
That big?
Yeah, it's a big form.
I also remember that when I saw the field collected one, it was not that.
They were
big.
small.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it depends. A lot of these geckos depends how you grow them. if you grow them wrong, or if you don't give them the most ideal nutrition during growth periods, they can be stunted, but that does not mean they're small. So that's what kills me when people ask for adult pictures, or they want to have they want yates from the biggest pair I have. Okay, wonderful. But if you don't care for it right, it's not going to be big. I had someone buy a Bubba baby from me, and he kept it in a screen top enclosure.
Yes, sir.
And sprayed it once or twice a week. And as an adult, it was the size of a Merlot. And it had pattern because it didn't develop the same as an adult. It didn't have like lots of pattern, but it had a little bit of pattern. So I think a lot of those things can happen. Just like that one you showed me the other day that was obviously unhealthy. The pattern color, lost the color. Like certain developments happen together. So it seemed as though this animal retained some of the pattern, which none of the other Bubba line animals did. But it was small. It was only, God, it was like 12 inches, 11 inches. Yeah, it was really small. It produced babies that were fine. You know, the babies were totally normal. The baby, and that's the other thing is you don't have to get a yate from the largest pair to have a yate that's going to be large. You know, all the yates can potentially reach the same size. It depends on diet, which I'm sure you remember the story I told you about the friend in Europe, in England, couldn't get food, was feeding them roaches with carrots and cat food that he was feeding to the roaches, and they were huge. He gave me back geckos that were much larger than geckos I had. So we found for sure higher insect protein and higher animal protein grows larger animals.
Okay.
So.
I do remember that, like, from your website, Mr. Chimney, about the photos of the Mount Humboldt.
The parents. So there's a good example. So the parents were small again because they were grown from a breeder, I guess, in Europe that did not keep them real humid during growth time. But that one that I pictured there was the one that was 476 grams. That was underneath him.
Yes, sir.
Underneath the pair. And then I think I had two other ones. One of them was being kept on paper towel, so it was white, if you remember.
Yeah, it was
Right?
great.
And everybody said, oh my God, Mount Humboldt is so variable in color. Well, it's not. It's just how those geckos at that time were developing and how they were being kept. So the two that were really light were on paper towels with cardboard furnishings, where the other ones were in a regular furnished cage with cork bark and branches. So that can definitely affect their color. But you saw that the F1 baby was much bigger than the pair. Yeah, he was huge. He was a big boy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, potentially get really large. Humboldts get really big.
Okay.
Cool form.
Let's see. So we talked about all 7 different localities, GT pure local GTs, and is there a certain locale that you're like a favorite, Mr. Chimney?
My favorite locality on the GTs?
Yes, sir.
You know, it's really hard to choose a favorite because they all offer something different.
Oh, okay.
So when the Mount Dore came, I thought those were really cool because they were big, massive, bulky, and they had those super clear white blotches, and the background color was very light. The Goro because of the potential for the super strong stripe on the back.
Yeah.
And of course the melanistic. The Mount Kogus because of the melanistic. The Humboldt because they get massive. The Yates, of course, because they're just one of the most impressive of the forms. And Yates have a tendency to be a little bit more handleable than Pointe-Mier, that's for sure. Let's see, what else? Dumbaya was cool. It was new, so that was a new form. That was interesting. I love the green Pointe-Miers. I don't know, it's hard for me to choose. What did I leave out?
The Pointe-Mier,
Pointe-Mier, yeah, I mean, big and black, dark, really cool.
Yeah.
They all have something different. So that's kind of where I started with this, is I wanted to have them all because they were all different. So it's hard to say favorite. I guess if I had to get rid of all of my animals and keep only one locality of Leachie, it would probably be Kanawha, because I really love Kanawha.
Oh, yeah.
So we didn't talk about Kanawha yet, but we will, of course, get to that eventually.
Okay. I guess that was about it. Yeah. Is there anything more? Is there anything like that you want to talk about the?
I don't think so. I think we kind of covered them all, right?
Yeah, you did.
Excuse me.
Hey, Spy.
Not so sure you're included in this video.
Yeah.
You want to say hi?
Hi, Spy.
Can you speak? Can you speak? No, you don't want to speak? You want to try to get in the camera? Okay. Get in your bed. Drop. Get in your bed. Lie down. Lie down. Good boy. So yeah, unless there's something else you could think of, I think, we covered it mostly.
I think you did, Mr. Chimney. Yeah.
We'll later talk about some of the types, like some of the other interesting GT forms, like the Type Cs. You know, but again, that's right now we're talking about locality specific. So unfortunately, the Type Cs, we don't know where they're from.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
All right, bye.
Bye, Korea.
Bye.
How do you say it again? Say goodbye.
Bye.
You can't think of how to say goodbye in Korean?
Like 안녕히 계세요. 안녕히 계세요.
안녕히 계세요.
Yeah, 안녕히 계세요.
안녕히 계세요, and you have to nod a little. 안녕히 계세요.
Yeah, 안녕히 계세요.
안녕히 계세요.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Chun-mi.
Oh, actually, have a good night.
All right. Bye.
I'll talk to you later.
Yes,
Bye.
sir.